Well, hello, I'm Jerry McKee, and welcome to Prime Time. We've got a couple special guests. Scarlette, you've heard her before and seen her before, and she's going to be with us today, and we're going to ask her all about automotives and how you change oil and all that stuff there.
Because I got that.
Yeah.
I got this.
You got that. But Alvin Earnhardt, we're going to tell you all about some, you're going to see a couple of beautiful cars from scratch he made. And if you need to ask a mechanic something, I bet he can tell you too, because he knows all that stuff like that. And me, no, you're not gonna just. You don't want me working on your cars. I work on everything else, computers, stuff like that. But Alvin definitely got some great talent on putting some cars together. I don't know how in the world he does it, but you're gonna see a couple. Most of you probably already know him and seen some of his work, because he goes around all these places right everywhere. So we'll come back, and Alvin and Scarlett's going to talk to us a little bit, and we're going to go to a commercial. We've got to go to our sponsor, One La Pagada. Pagada Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Union, South Carolina, 864-429-4043. La Pagada, your family Mexican restaurants, has appetizers, child's plates, salads and soups, sandwiches, and desserts. Sizzling fajitas, Texas fajitas, shrimp fajitas. Also, they have great chicken, polo asado, chicken tenders, polo loco, and many more. If you like seafood, they have that also. Fish tacos, shrimp cocktail. They have many combinations that you can choose from in different price range. Matter of fact, they have 35 different ones. If you're a vegetarian, that's right, they can accommodate you also. Lunch menu, they have the Speedy Gonzales and about 13 others that you can make a combination with. That's La Pagada. La Pagada Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass and Union, South Carolina, 429-4043. All right, we're back. Let me just switch a button, a couple of things over here. And we are talking to Alvin Earnhardt and Scarlette. And let me let you see what they look like over here. Instead of looking at me over here. All right, what I want to know is, Alvin, what was the first car that you got?
1962 Chevy Impala. It was a four-door hardtop. Scarlette probably remembers that my mom had driven this car when I was very young. I was about 5 years old. She parked it with a bad transmission, and I was about 14 or 15 getting interested in old cars, and she gave it to me. And I started tinkering with that car, and the more I worked on it, the more I loved it, and I pulled it under the old mulberry tree out there, and with help of some friends, got that old car running and driving, and we painted it, and I drove it to high school for about 3 years.
Well, Scarlette, tell us, what is your first car besides the one you're driving? we know how, frugal you are with money, so...
I love my car out there. So my very first car my grandfather bought me, I was 18 years old, so I didn't have a car in high school. It was a 200 SX Nissan, straight drive, two-door. And I didn't know how to drive a straight drive, but my grandfather was like, well, it's about time you learn. So growing up in the country, we had to learn how to drive straight drives and tractors. Like, I can do all this stuff. I could probably build a car.
Cool.
But preferences. I prefer not to.
No. Alvin, I want you to hear this now, because last time I talked to Scarlette, I think you were taking her car to see something about a leak in it with the radiator. So why didn't you fix that, Scarlette?
Well, let me tell you. Alvin, should I call you out on this?
Yes, go right ahead.
It was a little over Alvin's head. He could not do it. 3 mechanics turned me down on my car. So what I did was, there's a couple of fellas down the road living in campers that worked on cars.
2 homeless guys.
I turned my car over one evening. I was such a nut, but I prayed, because I believe in Jesus for this. And I'm so the crackheads down the road fixed my car.
So I'm glad you wasn't waiting on Jesus to come down with the rent.
He's a carpenter. I need him to fix my front door.
And I felt bad I couldn't fix it, but I felt worse the crackhead could, and I couldn't. But oh well.
Maybe you can hire them.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm exaggerating. They weren't crackheads, but it was younger fellas who are millennial media people, and they probably watched video after video and said, "Hold my beer, watch this."
Yes.
So they did too.
Well, I want to ask you, what got you into just tinkering with cars, fixing cars, build them from the ground up? What enticed you to do that?
Oh, wow. It's a long story, Jerry. I was born, I believe, loving cars. I can remember as a kid just seeing an old car and just like, wow, that's so cool. And, of course, I collected Matchbox cars. I was about 5 or 6. I started building model cars, and I didn't want to go to school. And my mama told me, if you'll go to school like you're supposed to, on Friday I'll buy you a model car. So that went on every Friday. I'd build a model car and watch Dukes of Hazzard at the same time. And so I graduated from models to that old Impala I was telling you all about, and the more I worked on it, the more I loved it. And just went from there. My love for cars just gets older and older, and ran a little salvage yard there for a few years, and then I went to work for a couple of friends of mine. I'm going to give them a little plug here. County Line Rods. County Line Rods sells top quality fiberglass bodies, and I went to work for them and loved it out there. And
now, where's your shop at? Where people know? Give yourself a plug.
It is out in the West Springs area, really off the beaten path, out in the country, at the end of Furman Drive, which turns off the Bogan Road.
Right.
It's the old Bogan home place, matter of fact, if anybody's familiar with it. It's where I grew up, it's where my shop still is.
Oh. Now, do you work on other people's cars, or just yours, or?
It's customer cars, but I don't do mechanic work. I just build.
Do the body type work?
Well, I mean, I do the mechanical, building the car.
Right.
But as far as like, changing oil and things like that, no, I'm not a garage. I just, I don't swap out parts or whatnot, but I just build.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what, you used to build some beautiful cars. And I forgot to tell you what my first vehicle was actually a 1946 Chevrolet 3/4 ton pickup truck, pea green. It was a chick magnet.
So you were alive in 46?
No. Scarlett, I can cut your sound off.
I'm sorry. Well, if you were driving a Ford, so it was an older car to you.
What year was your first car?
I don't even remember. Like, I was 18 years old.
Right.
I mean, it had to be an older car. It was a used car. I don't know.
So,
I don't remember.
Was you born when you got your car?
No, but I didn't know anything. I didn't know you had to have car insurance until I was in my 20s.
Uh-oh.
I didn't know any of that.
And now you don't even know if you have to have a license or not.
I got that. Right. I got my license.
So anyway, it's a 3/4 ton peak. It had a steering wheel like this big.
Yeah.
And the gear shift was way up here, and that's where you had the starter in the floor, and you had a clutch, then you had a brake, then you had a gas pedal. I would love to take a video of Scarlett driving this vehicle.
Hey, I probably can.
You probably could.
I have actually drove a car without a battery in it.
Cool.
Isn't there a way you can do that? You hook it to the alternator.
As long as you don't turn the lights and stuff on.
Like it really, it was from the field to the barn only.
Right.
It was like we've got to get the car, we've got to get this van out of the whatever, and then so took the battery out of my car. I don't know how it worked.
Okay. Now, you said you just always like to build model cars and things. What was your first vehicle that you to build up, and how did it turn out? Because you got to have a lot of different skills from metals and paint and stuff like that. What was your very first one that you took and just made this car?
The actual very first total ground up, total nut and bolt restoration was that black Chevy Impala. I think I sent a picture of it to you.
Yes,
Which was actually just a few years ago. I'd been, like I said, working on cars since I was 13, whatnot, and swapping engines, painting them, transmissions, whatever. But as far as a complete total build from the ground up, that black Impala.
Okay. Now, you're talking about build. Did someone teach you how to do this, or how did you know? Because now we got YouTube University, we can just about see anything on.
Yeah.
But who kind of inspired you or showed you on how to do some of these things?
Oh, wow, there's so many people to mention. Don't leave anybody out. Mechanical work. Ed Greer and Kevin Morrow taught me auto mechanics at any kind of vocational school. Those two guys. Jerry Parks. I worked with Jerry. Great guy. He taught me a lot. The late Mansell Gowan from West Springs, my cousin, he taught me a lot. Frank Summer from here in Buffalo, he taught me a lot. The two guys at the hot rod shop I told you about, Jerome Philip Lawson, taught me. Alan Harvey at Harvey's Automotive. I worked out there for like 7 years, and that's where I learned most of my body work skills from Alan.
Okay.
Painting and whatnot.
Now, I've seen some of your pictures of some of your skills there. We're going to show a couple of your cars here in a moment, your vehicles. When you're I just can't see how some of them doors and things, because I've seen a couple of your doors there that you had, like I said, man, I throw that stuff away. But you have an eye for this. What can...
Oh, I tell you, doors can be aggravating. That I tell all my customers I'm not really a professional. I'm just a guy that enjoys getting out there and doing it. The picture of the blue truck that I sent to you.
Yes.
That door, one of those doors was awful. I mean, the entire bottom was gone, inside and outside. And you can order both those panels, but they're separate. And so I had no common line to line these panels up. And I didn't get it quite right. It was close, but it wasn't quite right. But thankfully, my customer, I'm going to mention Neil Kiesler, that's who it was easy to get along with. And he understood that it wasn't quite right, but he was happy. He was fine, because when you're working with something like that, like I say, there's a lot of guys out there better than me, and there's guys around that can do that and get it right. But I got it close.
Now, do you have a fabricating machine, metal fabricating, or do you just do it? How do you get it bent and shaped and?
Well, I try to, when I can, I like to use factory patch panels. There's a lot of companies making these patch panels. And when I can, I like to use those. But if a patch panel is not available, I can take a sandbag and a rubber mallet and kind of eyeball it and tap on it and shape it. I can bend it in a vise or whatnot. I don't have a metal brake, but I can use a vise with 2 2x4s.
Right. And make the bends in the metal. And use rubber mallets, and I go through a lot of metal. I tear a lot of stuff up, start over again. And but it's not that hard. It's just something that takes practice, like anything else. Now, your measurements sometimes got to be pretty precise.
Yes, your measurements got to be dead on. You got to measure 3 times and cut once.
Right, that's what I've heard. And and kids in school nowadays, a lot of them don't even know how to read a tape measure or anything like that. And that really tells you that you got to have some math skills. You can have basic math skills. You don't have to geometry. That's good to have too. But you can. But you got to have some math skills in that.
Well, the funny thing, Jerry, I I was awful in math. I barely squeaked by. You remember Scarlett?
I thought you were one of the smartest people in school.
Oh, goodness. No, I had you fooled good.
You did.
I had you
a lot
fooled.
of people fooled.
Well, you got to remember,
He hung out with that group of people that we knew studied.
So you got to really, you got to realize, Scarlett's the high expectation wasn't that high.
Hey, I had to keep a high grade because of cheerleading, but thank goodness I never copied your homework.
It's a good thing you didn't. You would have been off the squad, trust me. Oh, so math never came easy to me, and I get frustrated now. I'm like, I have to stop and think about it.
Right.
I'm like, I should have learned this stuff in high school. So I pushed my daughter. You better learn this stuff now.
Right, and that, and that goes to tell you that that you got to use math in life a lot of times when you work. Even in my position jobs, I have to know some math to be able to calibrate different things in a computer or the printers and stuff like that. But with yours, it could be a costly mistake if you mess up a panel or mess up a fender or something like that maybe you had to get. I mean, now, that's another thing. We're going to have to ask. I'll tell you what, we'll ask that question when we get back.
Okay.
And we're going to go to a commercial here in just a minute. We are talking to Scarlett, and we are talking to Alvin Earnhardt, and we'll ask him if he's kin to the Earnhardts at races. So we'll be back right after these. La Pagada Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass, Union, South Carolina, 864-429-4043. La Pagada, your family Mexican restaurants, has appetizers, child's plates, salads and soups, sandwiches, and desserts. Sizzling fajitas, Texas fajitas, shrimp fajitas. Also, they have great chicken, polo asado, chicken tenders, polo loco, and many more. If you like seafood, they have that also. Fish tacos, shrimp cocktail. They have many combinations that you can choose from in different price range. Matter of fact, they have 35 different ones. If you're a vegetarian, that's right, they can accommodate you also. Lunch menu, they have the Speedy Gonzales and about 13 others that you can make a combination with. That's La Pagada. La Pagada Mexican Restaurant, 441 North Duncan Bypass and Union, South Carolina, 429-4043. Okay, we're back. We're talking to Alvin Earnhardt and Scarlett, talking about cars and how you build up a car, an old car from scratch. We're going to find out now a little bit more about what's going on and how. Let me switch this over here. And don't forget, you can call this number at 864-441-9382. Call in and ask Alvin a question. Try to trick him if you can. I don't believe you can.
Easy.
So, I'm Jerry McKee, and we're going to switch over. And now, the parts, I know you said you worked some in a junkyard one time. Mm-hmm. And so is it hard to find some of these parts? Is it kind of, you trying to find the most original if you can?
It depends on the project, depends on the customer. I've got something like the truck I built, the blue one in the picture. The customers wanted to keep all the original body parts, and they were some rough parts. This truck had been torn apart under pine trees for years, and once I got this thing sandblasted, it was like Swiss cheese. And the panels, from a standpoint of labor, the fenders and the doors were not worth saving, but it meant a lot to them.
Right. That
I used original parts because
that's that blue truck, the Chevy.
The blue Chevy.
Put the picture up.
Because
let me show that picture right here. There we go.
Oh, that's beautiful. So when we antiquify my Volvo, we're going to keep all the original parts, and
if you want to, Scarlett,
and I can put it in shows one day.
Yes,
you sure can. They can put it in there under dinosaurs.
I love my station wagon. I swear I love it.
I'm going to drop a small block Chevrolet in it and put a blower on it. You can be the fastest thing in the valley.
Get my car out.
I guarantee it. Put some gold 22s.
Yeah, put a little trailer behind it where you can haul water.
Yes.
Hot water.
Got to hold the water.
Well, she got that fixed by the homeless people.
Got to feed them, keep them going.
Anyway, she had to pay them. That means if it's crackheads,
No, they wouldn't. I really over exaggerated that because I don't want to get fussed at. There are some sweet people that they do live in campers. They're like Birkenstock people.
Yeah.
You know, like
that's good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parks open.
friends with my brother. So
now
you
when
remember Lance.
Oh, yes, very well.
Now, when you built the blue truck, I like the wheels on it, and you talk about, is these the original fenders?
Yes, that's original fenders.
Now, is that the hood you was talking about was very difficult that had a lot of dents and things in it, or?
Yes, that hood was covered with surface rust, deep pits, and now I don't know how many hours of labor I have in that hood, just filling pits and sanding, filling pits and sanding.
What do you fill a pit with? What is that? Like putty, like you fill a wall?
It's very similar. It's just plastic body filler.
Okay.
If the pits are very, very tiny, you can use what's called poly putty, which is it's a softer version of body filler, but it's the same principle.
So it just sticks to the metal of the car?
You got to grind it first. You sand it with like 36 or 40 grit paper or a grinder. Grind it with it, get it good scratched up. It's got to have that texture to bite into. If you don't, it'll just peel off.
So that's like sanding the body part.
Kind of like when
And then you put that, what's the putty called again?
The trade name's Bundo. It's plastic body filler.
Put that in, sand it again till it's smooth. Do you prime it before you paint it?
Yes.
Oh, well, I can fix my own car.
Well, see,
I just need to know what to do.
The reason I know you can do that, you do toenails and nails. And it's kind of like that when you taking the file them in there, you're painting it, you're putting Bondo, whatever in there to kind of fill in some things. Yeah, you'd be good at it.
I might come to work for you, Scarlette.
I
Just
seriously don't think I want to attempt something because I'm on my own here, so I do have to do a lot of things on my own.
Yeah, well, please video that when you do.
Definitely. I want to see that for
You
sure.
wouldn't believe half the stuff I do by myself.
All right, don't remember, you can call 864-441-9382 if you have a question. And now, and I know you go to a lot of these car shows. Still in Motion's one you just went to.
Yeah.
And when you go around, do you start looking at what type of paint, how it's put together, if it's original and all these things here? Do you kind of critique that?
I do. I tend to look and see. I like the ones that are driven, because that's what I build as drivers. I don't really build the show quality. Barrett Jackson, that's not me. I build the things people can drive and enjoy.
Right.
And that's one of the things about Still in Motion I love, is because a lot of those cars are drivers. People have driven those things from several states, a lot of them to come to Still in Motion. And so I like to look at the ones that people really enjoy.
Right.
And drive.
And that's what I would do if I had one. I'd want to drive it.
Yeah.
I don't want to just put it in the closet and bring it out once in a while.
That's right.
Kind of like do Edna, bring it out once in a while in the closet in there.
I love Edna.
But one of my favorite cars is a 1966 Thunderbird.
Yeah, I love those.
It's just always been one of my favorite cars in that era.
Yeah.
To have with the seats, the leather seats, and the kind of a round back seat of it, and all the chrome in it.
Oh, yeah.
Cars now, they don't have chrome; they got plastic.
I know. It's so different now.
It is, and when you see that, you just kind of like, okay, it's like they just don't make the muscle cars like they used to, and when they try to do it, it doesn't really. I mean, they look good. Some of them do look good, look sharp like that, but nothing like the muscle cars.
That's true.
And what is your favorite muscle car?
Wow. Some people don't consider it a muscle car, but it actually is. But my favorite goes back once again to a 62 Chevy Impala SS two-door hardtop, 409, 4-speed. That's the car for me right there. And now Kelly, my beautiful wife over there, she loves Chevelles. She really loves Chevelles. So I got to give Chevelles a plug there too. I want to get her one day.
Well, they were very popular, around that era, around 65, 64 Chevelles.
Yes.
They had the big block engine in them too, and they'd move on pretty good. Now I had a '66 Caprice. had a 427 in it.
Yeah, you don't see many of those anymore.
No. And it's cars that you just wished you had.
I know.
Back then. Now, I did have a 63 Impala, and it had a big hole in the floor. And my mom and them rode with me one time. It was raining.
Did you Fred Flintstone?
Sound like mine.
And the rain come up on it and splashed them and never rode with me again.
Oh, my goodness.
And then one time going down there with that, I put some carpet over it. Yeah. Well, going down the road, and car filled up with smoke. It caught on fire. I pulled off and beat it out.
I can relate to the four-door I had in high school. I told you about my mom gave me. Because it had rusty floors, and I didn't know how to weld back then. So me and my buddy Andy Bogan, we just popped sheet metal in there with some rivets, called it good, put carpet in it. We were cool. Well, me and Joey Mays and my buddy Scotty Brewington, we would ride together to school. And whoever was in the back, whether it be Joey or Scotty, they were crying because that exhaust would come up in their eyes.
Well, see, back then we just had to do what we had to do with a vehicle.
That's right.
And but see, you had a little bit more edge on you because you could fix it and kind of make it look nice. And mine, I couldn't do that. I just had to kind of use some white spray paint to the dents and stuff where it wouldn't rust too bad.
Now, would you consider Nova like an old car?
Oh, yes. Sure.
So that was
Nova.
Lance's first car, was that Nova. Do you remember that?
I remember Lance's Nova. Cool car.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, the Mercury? Was that old too or not?
Yes.
It depends on kind of
Mercury. Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think
Mercury Cougar.
I think my dad had a Mercury. And then we still got the old truck on the farm. Yeah. Now, it doesn't run, and I think the tires are like dry rotted or whatever, but yeah, I still got like an old vehicle. He's going to come look at it. Maybe I can drive it, but it's big. It's like a big truck thingy.
I'm looking forward to seeing that truck.
Well, you put a truck out there with not Smokey the Bandit. It was BJ and the Bear. Yes.
Yes.
And that was a sharp-looking tractor and trailer. Well, the trailer went with it, but that was a sharp-looking vehicle.
It got my attention. Actually, I shared it off Facebook. I didn't have anything to do with that one, but I saw it on Facebook, and I watched that show as a kid. So I thought I just got to share this right here. Cause
Now, did you, as a kid, we grew up with the 01
Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard. Yes. I just totally lost train of thought. Dukes of Hazzard. Did you ever think about painting one of your cars like that, or?
Oh yes. If a matter of fact, I had a '73 Roadrunner for about 20 years.
Huh.
And it was white, and I had it painted back white. That was before I started painting myself. Alan Harvey sprayed that when I was working with him. But I always wanted to paint it kind of that greenish yellow like Daisy Dukes. If you remember in the Dukes, the first year...
She had the green car.
Sure did. And I always wanted to paint mine that green color, but I never did. I ended up selling the car to build the Impala and never did do it.
What did you think about the Super B Plymouth? Had the slanted front, almost like a Corvette, in the back, had the spoiler on the back. A friend of mine had one of those, and man, I thought to myself, man, I'd love to have one of those. You just don't see them anymore. I don't know if people just got rid of them or what. It's rarely you see one.
Yes, and they were very rare to begin with. There wasn't a whole lot of them made, And then over the years, a lot of them got wrecked. People were street racing and whatnot, wrecked them, put them in a junkyard, and so they're very few and far between now.
What size of engine did they have in those? Was it a 454 or was that a Oldsmobile or something?
It would have been a 440 more than likely, or I'll be honest with you, I don't know my Mopar history like I should, but your popular Mopar engines were like 440s, 426 Hemis, 383s, they were popular Mopar engines. So, probably one of those.
Well, look, we got a caller coming in. Hey, Frank, can you hear me?
Hey, I can. How you doing, Jerry?
I'm doing good. Let me put you on the... Can y'all hear him?
I hear him. You hear him, Scarlett?
Mm-hmm, I hear him a little bit.
Hold on a second here. Let me make sure Here we go. Oh, now we can hear you better.
Okay, good.
Can you hear?
Now, who do we have?
We got Frank Hart. Frank, you got a question for Alvin?
No, I was just going to say Al actually restored my '79 Camaro for me, and he does really good work, and it's real reasonable. Most of the time you can't really find that work reasonable, but he's pretty reasonable and does real good work.
Frank, go ahead. Frank, I appreciate the kind words. I think I owe you a crab leg supper, I believe.
Oh, well, okay, I'll take that.
Now, I heard a story about Frank's car when you did it.
Oh, wow.
Wasn't there something, didn't something go
Yes.
sideways with that?
Very sad story. Frank, should I tell the story about the goats, or do you want to tell the story?
Yeah, we don't really like to talk about that. So, yeah, Al, of course, restored the car and had it looking great, and my oldest daughter left the door open to the shop, and she had these 3 crazy goats that decided to go in there and have a fiesta dance on top of it. So I tried to get Al to warrant it for goat damage, but I wasn't able to work that out.
Well, what you should have done was took it back to Al and says, "Look,
You messed up.
Yeah, something messed up."
Yeah, that's right.
I think he's going to owe you more than a crab leg dinner now.
A whole lot more.
Frank,
Yeah.
what kind of car was it, Frank?
It wasn't nothing special. It was a 1979 Camaro that I had gotten, probably in the 11th grade or something.
Oh, okay.
And, just kind of had him go back through it and paint his flakes off of it and everything. Just kind of, get it back to good shape. And he did a good job on it.
Yeah, Camaros were very popular. I remember when they started coming out like that, everybody had to have had a Camaro. Just if you didn't drive a Camaro, you just kind of was not in the in crowd.
Yeah. Well, I remember mine was everybody wanted a Trans Am or Z28 or whatever. Mine had a straight 6-cylinder 250. So I think, Al, you might have got in on that a little bit. We went to a junkyard and bought an old 350 engine, redid it, and dropped it in it.
Yep, I remember that. And I also remember that
helped a little bit.
And I also remember you proved that 6-cylinder would do 110. I remember the night you done that.
So he was,
we don't
driving
talk
really
about that.
fast.
Well, that's kind of like I had a 1958 Oldsmobile, big old tank. And I'll tell you, it had a big engine in it. And back in my younger days, and don't do this, anybody listening, it got up pretty high. I think I beat Frank's speed, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was taught to drive appropriately.
Was floating down the road.
I tell you, it was on that long stretch of Interstate 40.
Yeah.
Wind them out.
Well, I didn't want to tie y'all up. I just wanted to say Al does good work. He did a good job for me.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate it, man. It means a lot to me.
Well, thank you, Frank. You have a great night.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye. All right, we're back. We had a charter glitch. Not a jury glitch, but a charter glitch. All right, now we're getting back here. I'm sorry for the delay for 5 minutes. Give you a 5-minute break to go to the bathroom, tease your hair, brush your teeth, whatever you want to do right there, or go back and look in a dictionary and see if you can find something that you can stump Scarlette with. But we're back. We're talking with Alvin Earnhardt, and we're talking with Scarlette. She's telling about all of her skills she's got in. Well, she might be telling some juicy stuff during high school. We don't know. Well, sorry about that, but we're back again. We're going to continue talking a little bit. We just had a glitch in our system. That never happens. No. Alvin.
Yes.
Earnhardt. Okay. Are you any kin to the Earnhardts in the racing?
Like I tell everybody, Jerry, it is too far to claim, but I do anyway. It's way down the line. I think my dad and Dale Sr. were like 6 cousins, so it's way down the line. But I do claim them though.
Oh, well, that's good. You should claim them like that. Now, have you done any racing yourself besides? Have you done any street racing like when you was growing up?
Maybe some cops listening, but yes, I did my share of street racing.
Well, it's kind of, it's statute of limitations.
Yeah.
But
those roads might not exist anymore anyway.
Yeah. Did you win?
Well, no, but I had fun.
Yeah.
I had fun, and I won't call any names or anything, but I actually raced a guy one time that later become pretty high up in the sheriff's department.
Oh.
And he was on duty, but he outran me. But
well,
it was fun.
Yeah,
It was
It's
fun.
the good old boys.
Definitely.
Well, back then that you get on the road like that, and you got to have some bragging rights. I know some friend of mine. We got in the race, and I thought that 427 I had was going to do with that automatic, and he had a Nova actually, and he had it built up, and all I seen was him go by.
As Jerry had asked me a while back when we did something with the GOP, would I ever run for mayor of whatever, my town, this town, county, whatever, and I was like, y'all don't want me to do that because I will boss hog it up for the parade. I will have you make my white car. What kind of car did boss hog drive?
He had a Cadillac, didn't he?
He was a Cadillac convertible. Round
Yeah, my little white
73.
suit, my little wave. I don't know if I'd get any work done, but I have
think-
that presentation down pat.
I think you'd be a better Daisy than a boss hog. You're more of Daisy.
Right, and I don't think Daisy ran for mayor or anything like
She
that.
was just in love with Enos.
Oh, yes, that's for sure.
Right, and in Boss Hog, the one that the sheriff
Roscoe.
he was in a Andy Griffith episode.
Yes,
Playing the guitar. He was the one that Andy arrested and let him play for the band there. He had locked up just to hear him play, and but he played in the Andy Griffith episode.
I didn't know that.
That was right before he got involved with the Dukes of Hazzard.
He was a good actor. He played in a lot of old westerns, too.
He did.
Sure did.
Now, I wonder how many cars they went through.
Wow. A lot.
Wouldn't you like to have some of those?
Yes, I sure would, Jerry. I really would. I wish I knew the numbers, but I had heard that they had destroyed hundreds of 69 Chargers for the General Lee. And there's supposed to be like 12 original show cars still in existence.
We had our picture made in front of the General Lee when we were younger, me and my brother and sister.
Yes.
I remember that.
Seemed like one of the original ones that went on auction, the auction they have out in Las Vegas, it was supposed to have been the one that didn't wreck.
Right.
And someone had bought it, and it went way up there in dollars.
Yes.
And so that's out of my taste. But you could build one, though.
If I had one to build, I sure would.
Now, I want to show this. I want to show you your Impala. Now, this is a 63?
62.
62?
Hard top.
And now you built that from ground up?
I did. And I've got to put a plug in for my wife over there. If it hadn't been for Kelly, I wouldn't have been able to do it. She funded a lot of that project, and she gave me the money to buy the AC and everything for it. If it hadn't been for her, it wouldn't have been the car it turned out to be.
Well.
So I got to give Kelly credit on that.
Well, Kelly, you get to ride in it, right? You get to drive it?
Is it automatic or is it got gears like right there at the steering wheel like some of them do?
It's automatic.
It's automatic?
Automatic on the column.
But right there.
Yep.
Yeah. So Kelly doesn't drive it at all?
Well, I sold it.
Oh.
It's in Florida. Or last time I heard it was in Florida anyway. I sold it to build a 32 Ford Coupe.
Oh, wow.
Well, the one of the things that I wish they would bring back, a couple things here, is, they put the dimmer switch back then was in the floorboard.
Yes.
And now it's up here, and to me, I kind of glance, automatic glance when I'm doing this right here. And to me, it was safer in the floorboard.
Yeah.
And just use your foot, just blink, 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 and I wish they'd bring it back and put it in the floor and leave it there.
Me too, Jerry. Kelly vouched for me. I complain about that all the time. I complain about that. It's supposed to be in the floor.
Right.
It needs
I
to be.
never knew anything like that being in the floor.
Yeah, it was in the floor like that, and just you have your foot over there because driving an automatic or whatever like that. You got your foot laying over there, and car come up, you just click like this. But now you might even click and go the wrong way, and somebody think you're flashing them.
I'll hit something every now and then in the back windshield wipers. Okay.
Oh, I've done that before.
A lot of times, and then I've had the emergency things going on before, and like I've had a lot of stuff going on at one time in my car, but I'm fine with that. It just aggravates other people, I guess.
But when I rebuild that car for you and put a Chevrolet engine, we can put your dimmer in the floor.
That's right. That Volvo is going on site.
And it kind of look like you're going to have to put the windshield wipers, big knob for the ground.
Right now, I need 2 side mirrors because they've both gone black, and then the reservoir for the windshield wiper fluid.
Wait a
I
minute.
need that.
Your mirrors went what?
They went black. So, well, apparently, I had the bells and whistles on this car, and the right and left mirrors were heated mirrors. And I didn't know that. So apparently the heat switch has stayed on the last couple of years since I've had the car.
Oh.
And so the mirrors, I guess the glue, I guess they fell off. My son-in-law's going to fix that for me. He works over at David Sinclair's.
Yeah.
So he says he's going to fix it for me, but he couldn't do the radiator either. So, you know, y'all
Well,
professionals. I don't know about y'all. I'm going to have to go across the tracks and get the Rugrats to fix my car. Y'all professionals.
David Sinclair's a real good friend of mine. I'm going to go over there and we're going to point out your brother. We're going to call him out.
Call them all out. Just, as long as I can drive. But, you know, working in Jonesville, it's not hard if I have to get a ride.
Yep.
Like, I'm at that point in my life where my home and my car are both paid for. But, like, I mean, they might not be big and fancy, but they're paid for. And I'm way, you know, under budget on my bills. And I could just get a ride to the grocery store once a week and stay at home if I had
What do you
to.
think? You're going to have a classic car one day.
That's true.
I am. He said he might not can fix with original parts, but we could use the body and rebuild something. So I could actually have the muscle car stuff on in the body of the station wagon.
Low rider.
That's right.
Yes, I like the way you think, Jerry. We'll break real low, definitely.
Yeah, we can put the little things around the edge of your inside your car. It's got the little hang. They almost look like curtain rod things hanging around. And
Oh yeah.
Now, right now the upholstery's falling too, but no, I'm driving this thing until it dies.
a little hula girl on the dash. It goes back and forth. Now, speaking of body works and chassis and like that, and I was kind of blew away about this. You know, you're working on an old truck right now,
Right.
and it's a 1948.
48.
And I seen, I don't have a picture of it now because I couldn't get the graphic to work right, but it's just a cab there, but you have a frame there, and that frame coming from a S10 pickup.
That's correct. It did.
And tell us a little bit about that, because most people will think, well, you got to go find a frame, the original frame like that, but there's a workaround.
Yes, those old trucks had, straight front axles. They did not have the independent front suspension.
Right.
And, if you want to put it back original, that's great. But if you want to get out there and really drive this thing every day and have a good smooth ride, you can go with a Chevy S10 chassis. If you get a anywhere from an 82 to 2004 S10 regular cab long bed, the chassis works great. There's a company out there. See, now there's I cheat a little bit. You can make the brackets from scratch yourself and make it all work. But to save my customers money, that's a lot of labor you start making brackets and mounts. But to save my customers money, I use a prefab kit. I ordered this kit as a company called 504 Engineering out in Kansas. And you can buy a kit for about $1,400, and that's a whole lot cheaper than by the time you know how to make it all yourself. And it's a great kit, and it adapts that classic truck body, the cab and the frame, front end, everything, to the S10 chassis. Now you got to modify the chassis heavily. You end up replacing all the cross members in it, and you cut off all of the original mounts and you use their mounts. You cut off the shock mounts, you use their shock mounts, their engine mounts. You cut all that off the frame. And matter of fact, that's going to be my job for Wednesday, is painting that frame. I'm going to get it ready tomorrow and paint the frame.
So you've got to have some skills in welding too.
Well, this is actually a bolt-on kit.
Oh, okay.
This here, it's actually a bolt-on kit, but it uses good heavy-duty components. This kit is actually better quality than the original frame. It's thicker steel, and it's just very well engineered.
I've seen the cab there. Do you have the bed part of it also?
Yes, I didn't get a picture. I'm a little cramped for space, so I've got the bed up on its nose up against the wall. It's standing straight up against the wall.
Okay, and what kind of bed would you put in it? You put a metal or wood?
Wood. My customer wants wood. The one I done for the last customer, he wanted that composite type material, but this customer wants the like oak, stained oak, He wants the wood, so we're going back with wood. I do what the customer wants.
Yeah, would it be treated wood?
Yes, it actually be. You can actually buy it and do it yourself, or you can buy a kit that's already pre-treated, pre-stained, whatnot, ready to go. I got to talk with him on that and see what direction he wants to go in. If he wants to stain it, or me to stain it for him, or buy it pre-stained or whatnot.
Well, I know the composite wood is very durable. That's what we put in on our porch out here is the composite, and it's heavy.
Yes, that's why Neil wanted to use it. It'll be there from now on.
Right, and but the oak will look pretty stained, and I've seen some trucks in there that had the wood bed in it that really look sharp. Have you ever worked on one that remember the car they called the Woody?
Oh yes, I remember the Woodies.
And have you ever had a chance to work on one of them, or?
Never have, Jerry. I've never had the pleasure of working on one. I would like to.
Yeah.
But I've never got to work on one.
Because they had real wood on the side.
Yes.
I'll need to see a picture of something like that. I mean, I've heard that, but I don't know what y'all talking about.
Well, watch an Elvis movie.
Yeah.
Elvis.
Or
okay.
what was the Ann Funicello or something like that?
Annette Funicello. Yes.
Yeah, Annette Funicello, yes. The beach movies.
Yes.
And so they'll have, is it a truck or a car?
It's kind of like a station wagon in a way.
So I'm going to love it.
Oh, yeah, they were
I'm going to
cool.
love it. Okay.
Yeah.
They were popular with the surfers.
Yes.
They were cool.
Yep. And it was excellent. And so that's one of the things about the classics back then. That they made some newer cars, but it has the matter of fact the PT Cruiser they come out with. It had looked like artificial wood grain that would fade or peel.
Yep. Every now and again, I still see one running around. I've got a PT Cruiser that I drive, but mine doesn't have the wood grain.
Yeah. I just thought, well, they went back to that, but they didn't use real wood.
Now, the Volkswagens, when we were growing up, we called them doodle bugs or punch bugs, where you punch each other. Now, those are older cars now, too, with the tinier wheels.
Yes.
Now, have you worked on one of those?
I never have, Scarlette. It's funny. I grew up around them because my cousins always had them, but I never got to work on one. I was a kid when they would work on them. I watched them.
I remember watching the movie Herbie. Wasn't it Herbie?
Oh, yes, Herbie.
Herbie.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, what kind of car was in the Knight Rider kit?
Oh, that was a Pontiac Trans Am, about 83, 84 model, something like
Yeah.
that. It was cool.
Yeah, and then I had a Trans Am that was pretty neat. Mine was like Smokey and the Bandit.
Yes, I love that body style.
Yes, but you could not keep them doors lined up. It's so heavy.
They were heavy.
Yeah.
They weighed more than a Honda.
They did.
Honda's way. I want a convertible. Can we make the Volvo convertible?
We can do it. I got a Sawzall.
Put an umbrella up.
That's right. You ready to cruise?
I mean, I do. I adore my car. If it was a convertible, that would just be awesome. I just feel like they need to make that like that.
Well, I think they need to on the new trucks, because they got the extra seat in the back and all that right there. I haven't seen a convertible one.
I don't think I have either, I don't believe.
Y'all might need to invent something.
I think they would sell quite a few of those because, guys riding in a truck like that, they roll the windows down and stuff, so if you got a cool truck.
Yeah.
And just think if the top came down.
That would be neat.
Yeah.
That would be really cool right there.
And some of these vehicles, they got jacked up in the front, which I don't like because I've seen them jacked up in the back, which is cool. We used to do that years ago, put the extra spring, jack them up, but they jack them in the front now, especially at night with the lights blinding you, and they can't see in front of them. So I think McMaster just signed into law this past week that's against the law. I think it's the first ticket is $100, second is $200, third time it's $300 plus you lose your license for a year.
Yep.
So you can't make them slanted anymore, or
not straight up, not in the front, where they got them jacked up in the front because you can't really see over.
And what makes these cars bounce? That they've, they bounce.
Are you talking about the low riders where they can?
I would be so car sick. Like I can't ride in the back seat now. There's no way.
Hydraulics are bad shocks.
Wow.
Exactly.
But you know what I don't see anymore of that we used to see when we were younger is the backfiring.
I know that used to be so popular.
That was insane because it was so funny when somebody's car would backfire.
Oh yes,
So I drove a truck for Moore's Building Supply many years ago, and the truck we had, I'd be going down the hill, and I'm in my 20s, and see somebody walking, I'd cut the engine off.
And you do it on
then
purpose.
like that, and they go kaboom! Oh man, they would fall out and gestures at me and everything else like that. But it was so funny.
We had a school bus driver who used to do that.
Yeah, but it was funny to do it.
No, we used to love it. We'd love it when somebody's car backfired. It was just hilarious. Mine never did, though. My car was all right.
Well, see, now, even with the mufflers and things, back then we used glass packs and stuff like that made the car louder and sounded good. And even with the engines, with the lope and things, they sounded great. Yes. Now, it's just like fake.
I know.
Well, the electric cars are going to have the speakers where you can mash the button and rum it up like that.
Oh, yeah, that really,
I'm going to still clear of them. I'm going to stay clear of those there. I'm sorry.
No. And then they got these, I call them buzz saws, you stick in the back there and make them real loud like that.
Oh, yeah.
To me, that just sounds horrible.
We got a neighbor at Franklin that's got one of those.
And it's just not to me, it's not, it just doesn't sound good, even with the newer ones like that.
Now, what was the car that I drove at the beauty shop that they were taking pictures? That Paul Black had.
That was an early '70s Volkswagen Carmagia.
Oh yeah,
that was a Volkswagen. It was convertible.
It was.
Yeah,
that's a cool car. I should have put that picture. I should have sent you that picture. I made a good picture.
No, not with me in it.
Yeah, well, you made the whole picture beautiful, Scarlette.
It was after the day was over. I was hot. I'd been cutting hair all day. I was sweating. I was just like.
Yeah, Carmagia was a neat car.
And
also the Corvair with the engine in the back.
Oh yeah, my dad had one of those.
Yeah, they didn't run too well. But a little rain come up. It's like the MG, if the rain come up, they would die out.
Yes, they were known to be lemons for sure.
Yeah, and but it was they were pretty cool looking cars though. And, of course, I know you're not going to remember this, Scarlette, that's the changing the gears to push-button gears.
No. I mean, I think the earliest I remember was a Pinto, and it was kind of like a station wagon, right? Mm-hmm. Pinto, the Nova, and the Mercury. Hatchback. That's like the earliest that I remember. Now, my grandmother had an Oldsmobile, and it ran good, but, I always thought I would want a Buick because my aunt had one, but now, again, I love what I drive now, but 8-tracks. I remember 8-tracks.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the very first car phone Mama had was in a bag, like a big box. We didn't know what that was. So
I remember those very well. I had one.
Well, see, I had one in my car. That one, and the box was this big, sitting inside my car, and it's got these buttons you would push, like line 1, line 2, line 3, and the whole mechanism was big as this right here that set my trunk. And but not everybody had it, and you get on line 1, you hear something like a party line, and then, okay, I'll have to go to this channel here and press this button to where I can call out. So it's kind of like you only have 6 channels there, and I think it's AT&T is what I had, but the mechanism actually had to fit my trunk.
Yeah, Mama's was kind of like that, and I remember it being in the front seat.
Yeah. All right, well, we've had a great time. It's getting close to that hour point right there. We just decided that little interruption and everything. We appreciate Alvin and Scarlette for you both coming out. We learned a lot of new things. I know I have, as far as me not working on cars, especially, and
I can fix a dent now.
And you can fix a dent now.
Yeah.
So, and other people learn too, and also they know who you are. Like if they got an old car, something that maybe you can take a look at. Bring it over, and you can be able to say, okay, we can do this and do that. And so you can tell, if you like, Alvin, tell where you're located and the number somebody can get a hold of you.
Okay. Like I say, my place is out there at West Springs off of did in the Furman Drive. But my number is 864-237-2116. Call it or text me. Probably it's a little easier to text probably, but if you call me and don't get me, just leave me a message and I'll give you a call back, and I'll be happy to look at anything for anybody that would look at. I'll be glad to.
All right, well, we thank both of y'all for coming, and play a little Mustang Sally in the background, and next week we'll have another guest up here. We're going to let it be a surprise. You'll just be watching about Saturday or Sunday, and it'll be able to tell you exactly who it is. And we've got a lot of guests coming up in June, so stay tuned. I'm Jerry McKee with Primetime, and thank you for watching, and hope to see you next week. Give us a call.